Capital D from All Natural. My history is I've been doing hip hop since like the late 80s, probably a little older than I look. Started off just rhyming inside of high school, inside of the lunchroom, like probably most cats, and then just started buying equipment. Got together with one guy, Tony Nimble, started a group, started a label. That's pretty much it. Chicago scene, you had to kind of make the scene. The scene in Chicago was really focused around house music at that point in time. So if you wanted to find some hip hop, you had to kind of be up on the scene and go to wherever the battles were, go to Blue Gargoyle, go to the Lower Links. So you just had to kind of find the scene for yourself. Right now, my role's changed. I mean, when we first started All Natural, I used to run it on a day-to-day basis. It was like my day-to-day job. Then when I decided we really needed to try to get our finances and our legal situation together, that's when I went to law school, and now I'm trying to essentially learn the industry, learn the legal side of the industry in order to help All Natural and make some money and put us in a position where we can do things that we couldn't do before through my job. And so my position, now Tone runs All Natural on a day-to-day basis, and my position with All Natural is a little more behind the scenes, doing things in the legal area. Well, the Wild Pitch situation it came and went kind of quickly. The way it started was DJ Clipse, who actually used to work for Fat Beats. He was a DJ for MC Search. Search went to go work for Wild Pitch. We knew DJ Clipse, and so we used to hit him with a demo tape. And Search heard it, he liked it, and he signed us. And so we were about to come out on the label, and then the label went bankrupt after that. And so once the label went bankrupt, we were like, look, we know we got the skills in order to get it done. And instead of relying on these labels to put us out, we can put our own label together and put ourselves out. So that was what that was. It's a lot of independent boutiques, so that's a good thing. So you can always get that kind of, you can get that independent music, but at the same time, it's a lot of independent boutiques, so that's a bad thing, because there's a whole lot of competition. And so it's like inside of the late 80s, mid 90s, you had independents, Wild Pitch. I mean, Rap A Lot came up at that point in time, so you had a lot of independents that came up, but there weren't a lot of independents for them to compete with, so they stood out. Now you have a lot of independents that are coming up. That's a whole lot for them to compete with. So it's time, it's time for a few independents to rise to the cream of the crop and stand out and define what the sound's going to be. Because the sound always gets defined by the independents, and then the mainstream takes it. Back in the day, it was all about BDP, KRS-One, R&B, Rakim, Chill Rob G, Ultramagnetic. That's pretty much it for me. From day one, it was Large Professor, just coming up. He was, for me, MCing and producing. Large Professor was the blueprint for me trying to be an MC and producer, because he was one of the best MCs and one of the best producers at the same time. So it's Large Professor. For longevity is Premier, Pete Rock. Recently, my favorite producers have been JD, rest in peace. He defined a whole sound. And he found a different way of rocking the machine that defined his sound. And then you have a whole lot of people, copying his sound, essentially. But what he did is he worked with the machine and found a different way to rock the machine, and incorporated into a whole new style, a whole new sound of producing, which forced people to rhyme in different ways, because his style is so kind of just like laid back, and the clap is a little bit off and all that. It has more swing to it, and that forces MCs to rhyme a little bit different. And so, he not resurrected, but he changed Common's career, and with the way he was doing his beats, changed the way Common was rhyming over some beats. And so it's just producers. I like producers that define a sound and that force MCs to rhyme different ways. Like Premier. Premier defined what hip hop was throughout the whole 90s. It's defined the whole East Coast sound was Premier. So I like producers that had a signature sound. I think hip hop goes through a bunch of different golden eras. I think that you had a golden era in the early 80s, you had Run DMC, you had Curtis Blow inside the late 70s. Late 80s was another golden age when you had R&B and Rakim, KRS-One, Chill Rob G, people like that. Then in the mid 90s you had another golden era, you had Biggie, Tupac, Wu-Tang, and now it's time for another golden era. And so I think the hip hop, every about 10 years you have a different group of people to come out and kind of just completely change the game. And so like, people who grew up with that like to consider, when they were 18, you like to consider that your golden era. But hip hop actually keeps going through golden eras. That's why it keeps changing, keeps growing. So, I was 18 back in the late 80s, so that's my golden era. But people who were 18 back in the mid 90s, they consider Biggie, Tupac to be their golden era. And, that's how it goes.